Discover the incredible life of one of the world's most charismatic and hard-working shorebirds, the Eurasian oystercatcher, with Ethan Facts. Did you know the Eurasian oystercatcher has a beak so strong it can be used as a hammer or a surgical knife to crack open armor-plated shells? Did you know these birds are actually masters of disguise, using their bold, black and white patterns to disappear into the rocky coastlines? Did you know that, despite their name, many Eurasian oystercatchers almost never eat a single oyster in their entire lives? Did you know these birds can live for over 40 years, witnessing decades of changes along the rugged coastlines they call home? Did you know an oystercatcher's eyes actually change color as they transition from a clumsy chick into a master predator? Did you know these birds engage in piping parties, where they perform synchronized dances and loud shouting matches to defend their territory? Did you know that some oystercatchers are specialists, inheriting specific tool-using techniques from their parents, like a family trade? Did you know their bright orange beaks are packed with sensitive nerve endings that allow them to feel prey hidden deep beneath the sand? Did you know that oystercatchers can navigate across thousands of miles of open ocean with the precision of a high-tech GPS system? Did you know these birds are among the most devoted parents in the avian world, staying with their chicks much longer than most other shorebirds? The Eurasian oystercatcher, scientifically known as Hematopus australegus, is easily recognized by its striking tuxedo-like plumage and brilliant carrot-orange bill. This bold coloration isn't just for show. It serves as a high-contrast signal to other birds during territorial displays along the shoreline. Despite their name, the term oystercatcher is somewhat of a misnomer for many populations. While they are capable of eating oysters, their diet more commonly consists of cockles, mussels, and earthworms, depending on whether they are feeding on the coast or inland. The bill of an oystercatcher is a biological marvel that grows continuously throughout its life to compensate for the heavy wear and tear of smashing shells. Depending on the bird's specific diet, the bill shape can actually change over time to become more blunt for hammering or sharper for probing. Scientists have observed two distinct feeding specializations among these birds: hammerers and stabbers. Hammerers use their heavy bills to smash through the side of a shell, while stabbers expertly slide their thin beaks into the gap of a slightly open shell to sever the mussel. These feeding techniques are not innate, but are learned behaviors passed down from parents to offspring. A young oystercatcher must spend months practicing its family's specific method before it becomes proficient enough to survive on its own. The Eurasian oystercatcher has one of the longest lifespans of any wader, with some individuals recorded living well into their 40s. This longevity allows them to gain immense experience in navigating their environment and perfecting their complex foraging skills. During the breeding season, oystercatchers perform a unique ritual known as piping. Several birds will run together with their beaks pointed downward, emitting loud, rhythmic whistling calls that can be heard from great distances across the marshes. Unlike many other shorebirds that leave their chicks to find food almost immediately, oystercatcher parents feed their young for several weeks. This extended care is necessary because it takes a long time for the chicks' soft beaks to harden enough to crack open shellfish. The eyes of a Eurasian oystercatcher undergo a dramatic transformation as the bird matures. Juveniles start with dark, brownish eyes that eventually turn into the brilliant, piercing red color seen in adults. Their feet are uniquely adapted for life on the shore, featuring thick pads and a lack of a hind toe. This structure provides excellent stability when walking over slippery, seaweed-covered rocks or soft, shifting mudflats. Oystercatchers are highly territorial and will aggressively defend their nesting sites from intruders. They have been known to dive bomb much larger birds, such as gulls or crows, and even small mammals that wander too close to their eggs. Inland breeding has become increasingly common for this species over the last century. Many birds now choose to nest in agricultural fields or even on gravel rooftops in urban areas, showcasing their remarkable ability to adapt to human-altered landscapes. The nest of an oystercatcher is a simple scrape in the ground, often lined with small pebbles, shells, or bits of vegetation. This minimalist approach relies on the incredible camouflage of the eggs, which look exactly like speckled stones. The eggs are typically laid in clutches of 3 and are incubated by both the male and female. This shared responsibility ensures that the eggs are never left unprotected from the harsh coastal winds or hungry predators. When a predator approaches the nest, the parents often perform a broken wing display. They feign an injury to lure the predator away from the vulnerable chicks, only to take flight once the danger is safely distanced from the nest. Eurasian oystercatchers are highly migratory, with northern populations traveling south to the milder coasts of Western Europe and Africa for the winter. They often travel in large, noisy flocks that move under the cover of darkness. The sensitive tip of their bill contains Herbst corpuscles, which are specialized nerve endings that detect vibrations. This allows them to locate prey buried deep in the sand, even when they cannot see it. The salt glands of an oystercatcher are highly developed, allowing them to drink seawater. They excrete the excess salt through their nostrils, which often makes it look like the bird has a runny nose after a meal. Social hierarchy plays a significant role in their wintering grounds. Dominant birds often claim the best feeding spots where the mud is softest, forcing younger or less experienced birds to work harder for their food. They are incredibly vocal birds, and their repertoire includes a variety of cleep and pick calls. These sounds are used to maintain contact with the flock, signal alarm, or coordinate movements during flight. Climate change poses a significant threat to their habitat, as rising sea levels can flood the low-lying salt marshes where they nest. Researchers are closely monitoring how these birds adjust their nesting timing in response to changing temperatures. The weight of an oystercatcher is surprisingly light, usually around 1 pound, despite their sturdy appearance. This light frame allows them to take off quickly from the ground when they sense a threat. In some cultures, the oystercatcher is seen as a symbol of the coast and is even the national bird of the Faroe Islands. They are celebrated for their resilience and their role as a sentinel species for the health of the shoreline. During high tide, oystercatchers gather in roosts, which are large communal resting areas. These roosts can contain thousands of birds, providing safety in numbers while they wait for the tide to recede and reveal their feeding grounds. The incubation period for their eggs is roughly 24 to 27 days. During this time, the parents are so meticulous that they will often remove eggshells from the nest immediately after a chick hatches to avoid attracting predators. Oystercatcher chicks are precocial, meaning they are born with their eyes open and covered in downy feathers. They can leave the nest scrape within hours of hatching, though they still rely on their parents for food and protection. Their flight is powerful and direct, characterized by rapid wing beats. When flying in a flock, they often form a loose V formation or a long line to reduce wind resistance and conserve energy. The beak of a juvenile is not just a different color, but also a different texture. It is much softer and more flexible than an adult's, which is why they cannot participate in the heavy labor of shell cracking until they are nearly a year old. Inland oystercatchers have a vastly different diet than their coastal cousins, focusing almost entirely on earthworms and leather jackets. They use a vibrating technique where they tap the ground with their feet to mimic the sound of rain, coaxing worms to the surface. Pollution, particularly plastic waste on beaches, is a growing concern for these birds. They can mistake small pieces of plastic for food or become entangled in discarded fishing lines while foraging. The oystercatcher's tuxedo plumage is actually a form of countershading. From above, the dark back blends into the dark mud or rocks, while from below, the white belly blends with the bright sky, making it harder for predators to spot them. These birds are known to be monogamous, often staying with the same partner for many years. This long-term bond helps them coordinate the complex tasks of defending a territory and raising demanding chicks. Studies have shown that oystercatchers have excellent memories. They can remember the exact locations of productive feeding patches and return to them year after year, even after migrating thousands of miles away. The piping calls are so distinct that researchers can sometimes identify individual birds just by the frequency and rhythm of their vocalizations. It is essentially a vocal fingerprint used within the colony. When feeding on cockles, the bird must be incredibly fast. If it doesn't sever the shellfish's adductor muscle quickly enough, the cockle will clamp shut, potentially trapping the bird's beak and causing it to drown as the tide rises. They have a remarkably high metabolic rate, requiring them to eat a significant portion of their body weight every day. During the short feeding windows provided by low tide, they are in a constant race against time to find enough calories. The Eurasian oystercatcher is a bioindicator species. Because they rely so heavily on healthy shellfish populations, a decline in oystercatcher numbers is often the first sign of overfishing or water pollution in an estuary. While they are generally ground nesters, they have been observed using the abandoned nests of other large birds in trees if ground predators are too numerous. This is rare, but demonstrates their behavioral flexibility. The feathers of an oystercatcher are incredibly dense and waterproof. They spend a significant amount of time preening, using oil from a gland at the base of their tail to keep their plumage in top condition for insulation. In the winter, their metabolism slows down slightly to conserve energy. However, they must still endure freezing temperatures and gale-force winds, relying on their thick, downy underfeathers to stay warm. Young oystercatchers often form bachelor flocks for their first few years of life. These groups travel together and learn the ropes of survival before they are old enough to compete for a breeding territory of their own. They are known to be quite intelligent and have been observed using displacement behavior when stressed. If they are unsure about a situation, they might suddenly start preening or sleeping to mask their anxiety. The orange of their beak and eye ring is derived from carotenoids in their diet. A brighter orange color is often a sign of a healthy bird with a high-quality diet, making it a key signal during mate selection. They have a very wide field of vision, with eyes positioned on the sides of their head. This allows them to scan for predators in almost 360 degrees while they are busy probing the mud for food. Oystercatchers are often among the first birds to return to their breeding grounds in the spring. Their arrival is a classic sign for coastal communities that winter is finally coming to an end. During the summer months, they can be active both day and night. They use their keen sense of touch to find food in total darkness, allowing them to take full advantage of every low tide cycle. The population of Eurasian oystercatchers is currently stable in many areas, but they are classified as near threatened globally. This is due to localized declines caused by habitat loss and the depletion of their primary food sources. They are surprisingly strong swimmers. While they prefer to wade or fly, if a chick falls into a tidal creek, it can paddle quite effectively to reach the safety of the shore. The intricate relationship between the oystercatcher and the tides is one of nature's great cycles. Their entire lives, from the timing of their meals to the safety of their nests, are dictated by the rhythmic pull of the moon. Ultimately, the Eurasian oystercatcher is a master of its niche, a bird that combines physical strength, learned intelligence, and incredible endurance to thrive where the land meets the sea. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the fascinating world of the Eurasian oystercatcher. These birds are truly the resilient guardians of our coastlines, and there is always something new to learn about their incredible lives. If you enjoyed these facts, please make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment below. We would love to hear which of these facts surprised you the most. Was it their 40-year lifespan, or the way they learned to use their beaks like tools? Don't forget to subscribe to Ethan Facts and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest wildlife mysteries and amazing animal discoveries. We regularly upload deep dives into the natural world that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for more mind-blowing nature content, click on the video on your screen right now to keep exploring the wonders of the animal kingdom. We'll see you in the next one.